Well, we'll try again now.
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah, yeah. You see what they did in the Oakland and the
Horrible.
council?
They're
Unbelievable.
such idiots. That's why it's the worst city in America. That's
the absolute worst. Absolute worst. They should burn as hell. They should all burn down.
Three sports teams left. You know that?
It's right. Yeah. They don't
They had
deserve
baseball,
any.
they had football, they had basketball. Nobody wants to be there.
Well, where's Golden State now? Oh, they're
They're
San
only in San
Francisco.
Francisco. They don't play in Oakland anymore.
Oh,
They used
wow.
to split, but
Could you believe that? I know people that got up to speak and they voted. The council voted to condemn.
they said they didn't believe that Israel made it up.
Yeah, I made it up. You know, unbelievable.
How
they let these people? Dumb? How they let these people? People speak in the council. I mean, never heard of such a thing. You know,
it's scary what's going on in America. People just so ill-informed, so dumb.
So
that's who votes for all these liberals. They think, oh, they're going to give me some goodies. I'm going to vote for them.
Unbelievable. This is. Yeah. I mean, what America coming to?
Yeah.
Makes you sick. It makes you sick to see that.
It's like the bumper sticker I saw once. If I knew then what I know now, I would have picked my own cotton.
Yeah, that's
yeah, the crime is terrible there in Oakland. Terrible crime.
Oh, they deserve it. They deserve it. All the people. That's why everybody moved out of California.
Yeah.
All the companies
moved. There's a debate tonight with Newsom and DeSantis.
Yeah. Oh, how was it?
I know. I'm not interested. I just see the highlights.
Yeah.
Right now, get a.
Hi, Ernie.
Hi, Alice.
Can you please? Nobody. Top 28.
I gotta go.
Ben Bagbag Yichidohu. Ben Bagbag is a. Rabbi Yanai, what does he mean? Break your teeth, but then means take you to Bezdin. Yachi more low. It says Varmim long boy like from the Dayanim. Or Shalian Hanat Yishalahu no tell the boy like kasha. It's a kasha because it's got to be structured in the way the Dayanim would speak. Toshma. Shorsha Olav Agabi Chaver Lohorb. An ox jumped on the back of another ox to kill him. Ubabala Tachton, the owner of the ox that was below, Shamar and Shul removed that ox, and the ox that was on top, Nafal Elyon Mace. Potter. The guy who removed the shore is Potter. My love, we're talking about a shore mu'id. The lekab seda. There is no loss to the Bala shore that was jumped on. Even if he had not removed the shore, he will get damage payments from the owner of the shore that jumped on this, because it was a mu'id. Yet we say it's potter if he was goyrein for the shore mazik to die, because he sort of took the din into his own hands, and it was no mokam efsid, which is what we talked about yesterday. The word is lo b'tam, the ikab seder, because it's only chatzi nezek, so there would have been a loss. Well, iachi emesin, dachful le'elyon umeis. The owner of the shore that had been jumped on went ahead and pushed the upper shore off and killing it. Chayiv. Ibitam, am I chayiv? Here, he's trying to protect his assets, so he shouldn't lose. Why should he chayiv? So Sha'aylo l'shamto, he should have just removed his ox that was below rather than pushing the shore that was above off. That's why he has obligation.
Does he say it's in Shus Yachid or Shus Rabim? Doesn't say it's not in the Nizik's property, right?
Doesn't tell us which one it is. It would be either.
Why if it's in the Nizik's property? Is he Chayav?
We said a shore can do damage in the Nizik's property as well. What you pay is different. If
But
my
over
shore
here-
goes into another private property shore and does damage, I have to pay.
No, but if he protects himself in his own property, he's Chayav then. That's what seems to blind.
He's chayiv if he pushes him off, not if he removes the bottom shore from the top shore.
So does it make a difference if his own property or?
No, it makes a
just
difference.
rob him, right?
We tried to say it made a difference whether it was a tam or a mu'at, because there wouldn't be a financial loss.
No, but as far as where it's at, that does make a difference either. It
Where
seems to
where
me.
it's at, you pay chatzi nezek in Rishus Harabim, if it's a tam, and according to Rav Tarfon, if it's a tam and it's Rishus HaNizik, you pay nezek sholem. The Chachamim also say you pay chatzi nezek Rishus HaNizik. You pay the same. Toshma. Hamimale chotzer chaveru kadiyam mikadishem. I go into my neighbor's backyard and I fill it up with jugs of wine and oil. So the owner of the chotzer, Bala chotzer, mashber v'yotze, mashber v'nichlas, he can, to try to get into his courtyard, and the other guy did it without reshus, I can go in and make a pathway in, breaking whatever I want to break. So it's an example of a person doing his own din, even though there's no hefsid. He can't do whatever he wants. On his way to Bezdin, he can break as he's leaving his property, and he has to walk through the courtyard, and he's trying to get to Bezdin. He can break enough barrels to make a passageway to get to Bezdin. Or he has his evidence in his house, so he can break on his way into his house, but not more than that. So there's no proof from this case on our issue of can you do the din on your own account. Toshma. You have an Eved who decided to stay, to have his ear pierced. And he goes out by Yovel. And Yovel comes. The Rabbi Masar Bolotzes. And the Rabbi tries to kick him out. While he's kicking him out and he doesn't want to leave, the master made a wound in the end. Potter. How do we know shoe? Potter. Shoe. A person who's on his way home is not zoche to payment if he's injured because he didn't want to go home. It seems to be an example of the master doing din for himself, even though there's no hefsed. He was a ganef, so he would have had a hefsed if he kept him. He was a guy who was prone to stealing. So we learned yesterday that a person can do a din on his own in order to prevent financial loss. So the Gemara says, "Ada idin lo ganav hashta ganav." What do you mean? For 50 years he was not a ganav. Now he became a ganav. Why is the master worried about it now? Ada idna havi im soderabe ale. the fear of the master was on him. Now that he's about to go free, there's no fear of the master. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Omar, different pshat.
So what does that mean? If he has the fear of the master, he would steal less?
No, he'd steal more. He wasn't stealing. The Gemara asked the question, what do you mean he's a ganef? Well, up until now he was not a ganef, now he's a ganef? The Gemara explains, now that Yovel is here and he's free from his master, the fear of the master is off of him and he will forget for people, including the master.
So he'll steal more now.
Yes, he's still more now.
Yeah.
That's why the Gemara said, now he's a ganef.
It's right. When you fire somebody, you let them go immediately. Don't give them a week's notice, because during that week it can steal from you.
Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Omar be'evet shemosar rabba shivcha knanis. One of the benefits of an Eved Knani is the master can give him a Shivcha Knanis to live with. And this Eved likes this Shivcha Knanis, wants to stay. Ara idna hetera. And this is even by an Eved Ivri. Let's say who goes out after 6 years. The master is allowed to give an Eved Ivri a Shivcha.
Well, a Nirtza is an Eved Ivri.
But that's only when he's an Eved Ivri. Yeah, an Eved Nirtza stays beyond the 6 years. Or now he goes out by Yovel. Hashta Yisur, now that he goes free, he's not allowed to have the shift anymore. And the master becomes, who tried to get rid of him, becomes a shliach bezdin who's mafresh him from Isser. So it's not in the category of a case where he's doing din for himself. He's chasing the guy out as a shliach bezdin to be mafresh him from Isser. Like if you see somebody eating the vela, you have a chiyuv to stop him from eating the vela. Toshma. The case of our Mishnah, where a jug was put in Rishus Rabbi. Person walked, tripped on it, and broke it. We said potter. Time of the nitkel, because he tripped. Hashavra, if he broke it purposely, chayiv. So here's an example where he cannot do a din by himself. Amrav Zvid, Shmei Rava, who had an afilu shavra? No, he would be potter if he broke it b'mezid. Haditani nitkal. The reason why this Reisha said he tripped, because I did Kabbalah Mr. Sefer, we had to learn the Sefer, which was what? Im Huzak, that if a person gets damaged when he trips over the barrel, Balabayas, the owner of the barrel, Chai Benisko. But that's only Dafka Benitko, that's only if he tripped. If the guy Bemezi tried to break it and he broke his hand, breaking it low, Shuazik Nafshe, he damaged himself. That's why Ketani Reisha Nitkal, but don't be medayik. Nitkal in Shavra, no. Nitkal in V'huadin Shavra. We had this yesterday as well. Toshma. That the Torah talked about a woman there's a fight, and the woman helping her husband grabs onto the genitals of the guy that the husband was fighting it. The Torah there says v'katzosa eskapo. We cut off her hand, and Chazal say it's not really it's not a capital punishment; it's a money punishment. Now, my love, b'she'eni yichol lahatzil ayidei dover acher. The husband was losing the fight, and she had no other way of saving him. Even so, she was punished. So you can't take the law in your own hands. Of course, it's not a proof, low. She was able to, the reason she's punished is because she could have done something else. So what? Aval eni chol latzadei davar acher. What are you going to say? Ptura? Then why did we wait to the Seifa? Adatani Seifa v'shilcha yado prat l'shliach bezdin. A shliach bezdin that tries to save the guy, he's not punished. He's doing it b'rshus. Why did we wait if there's really enough kamina between whether she had the ability to do something else or not? The argument should have been declared right then and there. Liflog v'lisna b'didei. When do we say she's chayiv b'shicholat sedei v'rachah? Because she could have helped. She could have helped her husband with another action. Aval eni cholat sedei v'rachah p'tura. Achanami kamar. More says ain't achanami. Bamed v'ramamor b'shichos lat sedei v'rachah. She's chayiv. Aval eni cholat sedei v'rachah. Nasa yodik shliach beznu p'tura. So the Gemara has no problem with that. Toshma. The public highway runs through a person's private field. Notla. He closes that road with a fence because he has to use it for something else. The Nasan Laman Atzad. And in return, he gives the public a different way through his field. Mashanosan. So that other road that he gave is given to them, and they can use it. And the Shalo and the original road, Lo Igiyu, he can't take away from them. So they get both roads. If a person could take the law in his own hands, why can't he divert the Rabbim to a different dera? So, lin kod pazher v'leisiv. So, what he should do, he has to take a stick and sit there that goes through his field, and he shouldn't let anybody go through there because that's his rishus. And let it, and he therefore he would force him to go on the other road. Why don't we let him do that? The public already had a rishus to go through the field. Now he's going to give them some kind of curved field, curved road, which was not Roy, so they don't give him the right to do it at all. And Rav Mishashi Omar, B'noslam derech hakolosom, he gave them a crooked road. That's why he's not allowed to do it. But if he gave him a straight road, he's allowed to do it. And he can force them to take that road. Ravashi Omar, Kolman Atzad derech hakolosnu. Any road from the side, or even any other road besides the road that they were used to use, is considered a curved road. Because kroivel lezer, chokel lezer. Some people will benefit because it's closer for them, but for other people, it's a longer way there. Now, that's how you're going to explain. Amai shalol logiu. Why do we say that his attempt to prevent them from using the main road through his field doesn't work? Leimalahu. He should say to them, take your road back and give me back my other road. So, the Mishum de Rav Yehuda, Sham Rav Yehuda, Meitzer Shechziko Barabim. If the Rabbim have taken possession of something, also l'kalkalo, you can't ruin it. They had chazaka in this road, you can't change it. And now he gave them a new road and they took chazak in it. Can't change that either. Toshma. An owner of a field left peya, charity for the aniyim, from one corner of his field. Ubal aniyim v'notlu mitzad acher. Aniyim came and took from the other corner. Zeb is that peya, they're both peya. If a person is allowed to take the law into his own hands, why should both linko pazra? Let him take a stick, the lasive, and sit where the aniyim are taking the payah that he doesn't want, and say to the aniyim, "I'm not allowing you to do it. Take it from
I
where."
thought paya was every corner of the field. Is paya only you have to designate a corner?
Yes.
So the rest, I didn't know that. Okay.
He's allowed to designate this side to be the payah.
And you just need to designate one corner.
Here he designated one, but they took the other, and the din
Right.
is both are payah. Both they don't have to give any of them back.
So do they have a right to take from any corner they want? I mean, then his designation is meaningless.
So that the Gemara is using this to try to disprove this case of that a man can take the law in his own hands. Obviously, he can't. So the Gemara says, Amar Rava, he can chase them away with the stick. And he can force them to take only the part that he was mafresh. This is a different case. My zev is epeya, lepoitron min meiser, to say that any of the produce that comes from that area does not have no meiser. Because from the areas of the gifts, it's potter min meiser. But in a chanami, they're not going to get two, they're going to get only one corner. But both will be potter, kedetanya. A mafkir is karmo. A person made his vineyard hefker. But the hishkim baboiker, now the din is, whoever takes possession of the field first is the owner. So he woke up early and took possession because he knew about it. He didn't tell anybody else. Ubotzru, and he harvested. Chayv beperet uva oilus v'shchiv v'peya. But poter ben meiser, since it was hefker is not chayv b'meiser. So here's the same thing. Mishnah. Nishbro kader b'shus harabi. A person put a barrel full of water in the Rishus Harabi. But it broke. And somebody slipped on the water and got injured. Or got wounded by a splinter of the barrel. Chayiv. The owner of the barrel is chayiv to pay damages. Rav Yehuda Oimer, bimiskavein chayiv. When he had kavana that there should be water in the Rishus Harabim, then he's chayiv. But he put the barrel down. He wasn't thinking that it would break. But beinu miskavein that the water should be there, potter. It's like a bora mazik. So if you dump water out, you're just a rabim, you're chayiv. When do we say that the owner of the barrel is chayiv to pay? Elashatinfu kelov b'mai. We're talking about the guy who got damaged. What was his damage? His kalim got damaged by the water and dirty. Avalhu atzmo, the guy who slipped and fell and cracked his head open, potter. Because karka oilam azikas. He fell on the ground and hit his head. That's called karka oilam. Wasn't his mammon that did it. It's considered a grama ba'alma. And this is going to have to do with the machloikes regarding why you chayiv for a bore. Is it because of the bad air in the bottom of the bore, or because you fall on the ground in the bottom of the bore? Rav says it's not if you fall in a bore and you're damaged by the ground of the bore, you're not chayiv for that. You're chayiv for the bad air that you can't breathe in a bore. But the karka is not owned by anybody. And he got damaged by slipping on the water, hit his head on the ground.
But we
Nobody-
never said the same thing about the baby, when the baby got thrown off the roof.
Now, there we said,
We never said, oh,
there's no
Karka
chiyuv
Olav, you're
because-
not chayev.
there we said there's no chiyuv because two people were involved in the killing.
But if one person just threw a baby off the roof, he's chayev. That's the
How
implication.
did-
He's chayev. You're
how
not
did-
chayev because you killed something that was already dead. But he'd be chayev.
That has to do with whether it's a ruach matsuya or not. That means if he wouldn't have fallen otherwise, in a chadabi. No, you're asking good. You're saying, based on this, why should the guy throwing him off the roof be chayiv?
Exactly.
The ground is what killed him.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's different because here the guy tripped on a barrel and then landed on his head. So if he landed on the barrel, which is his asset, and the splinter went through his neck and killed him, he'd be chayiv. Wouldn't be chayiv misa because he didn't try to kill him, but he'd be chayiv for damages. But if he fell on the ground, his asset isn't what caused the damage. Yeah, it caused him to trip, but that's just a grumma. Throwing the kid off the roof is probably more than a grumma, right? Correct?
Guess.
Now, we didn't talk about chiyuv. We talked about the chiyuv, that there was no chiyuv of either of them.
I always assumed it meant that the first guy was chayev.
Misha nafal min agag, beruach sheina mitzuya. He fell off a roof, and there was not a big wind, so he should have been able to prevent himself. Vihizik, and he landed on somebody who damaged him. Chayev b'nezik, but he's potter from the arbit vort. We didn't talk about yet the chiyuv of somebody who threw somebody off a roof yet. We haven't addressed it. We talked about if 10 people beat somebody with a stick, they're all potter. Okay. So let's keep it in mind as we continue learning. So here we have an introduction to a concept of karka oilam. He wasn't damaged by the jug or the water, but the ground. Ki Amri say, this halacha kamei Shmuel Omer li michte. Avno sakino maso. Person has his stone or his knife that he left in Rosh Hashanah and it did damage. He says, mi boro lamadnu. We learn the din and the responsibility from bor. V'kula nikara behen. It has to be like bor. When it says v'nofal shama shor or chamor, shor v'lo adam. Only a shor gets paid damages if it falls in the bor, not a human being. Chamor v'lo kelim. A donkey, but not kelim. Hanimili le'in kitola. That's if a human being dies or kelim are broken. Avalin nizokin de adam chayiv. But if a human being is damaged by falling in a bore, then you'd be chayiv. But on kelim, you're potter. Because by kelim, you can't make a distinction between misa and damages. So it should be just the opposite here, according to Shmuel. So you should be, even though you've been damaged by the ground, be chayiv. It should be potter for kelim. So Rav, as Rav explained, animili, when do you say that a person's even or knife or his maso makes like a boar and he's potter al koil, he's potter from kelim? Heichedav karinu. He was mafkir them. And there his responsibility is based on a person tripping over it, just like if a person falling into a bore. Aval heichadav karinu, if he was not mafkir it, it's mamono. These items are his personal property. And then he'd be chayiv for kelim that got damaged by them as well. But it still remains potter for a person because the water didn't do the damage, but the karka did. Masif Rav Oishai. It says v'nafal shama shor or chomor by a bor. Shor v'lo adam, chomer v'lo kelim. Mikan amru. A bor where shenafal l'tocho shor v'kelim. A person's ox and vessels fell into a bor. V'nishtabru. And the kelim got broken, and the shore got damaged. Or chamor v'kelim, v'niskrua kelim, and the kelim, the chamor got damaged, and the kelim got damaged. Chayv al beimu poter la kelim. Halamazatoy. What is this like? La'avnos akidu maso. A person's private stone, knife, or burden. Shenicha mishus harabim. He left it in the rishus rabim, and somebody tripped over him. Viziko. Adarabba, it should say my doimelazema boile. It should say what is similar to this, because avnos sakinu masor are not written in the Torah; they're learned from bor. Ella my doimelazeh, avnos sakinu umasor shenich b'shus rabim viziko. So lefichach imi tiach sluchisu be'evet. If a person trips over these things that were left in Rosh Hashanah, and his flask of water landed on the stone that this guy left in Rosh Hashanah and it broke, Chai, the owner of the Evan would be Chai, because it didn't break on the karka, it broke on the stone. So Reisha Kasha Rav, because he compared the Evan Saki Masot to the bor and made no distinction whether he was mafkirid or not. B'sefer Kasha Shmuel, because we said if the glass bottle broke on the Evan, you would be chayiv. According to the way Shmuel learned, you're only chayiv for niskei adam and not niskei kelim. Whereas ulatamei, the way you're learning, tikshulacha he gufa. Let the price itself be a kash, because Reisha said potter. You were potter for the damages that happened to the kelim and the sefer chayiv. Each explained according to his own story. Rav Metarza Tamei B'med Dvarim Amorim. When do we say that a person's Evan, Sakin, and Maso are treated like a board and it's potter al kelim kishif kiron? And a chanami, if he made them mafkir. Avloiv kiron chay. Lefichach, If a person dropped his bottle on a person's heaven and broke there, chay. Shmuel matar tamei. Asher damar avnas sakim masra kibor domi. That's a das Rav Yehuda. When do I compare Evan sakin masa to a boar? That's called Rabbi Yehuda, who says you're chay for this kekelim before, and therefore the ficha chetiach tzchisim be'evan. If a person dropped his bottle on a stone, chay. Amar Elazar lo yishanu ela shenitkal be'evan. The owner of the bottle slipped on this stone, the noshu be'evan, and it broke on the stone. But he tripped on the ground, and not the stone caused his fall. The noshu be'evan, and then the kli broke on the evan, potter, because his mammon wasn't involved in the damage. Kiman, the law Rav Nosson. Rav Nosson holds that if there were two partners in the damage, and it's just from a technical side, you can't collect from one of them, you can collect from the other. So you can't collect damages from the karka, so at least you can collect it from the Bala Evan. Don't say that the only time you're chayav is if you tripped in the Evan and broke it on the Evan, and only then you're chayav. No. That if you tripped on the ground and broke it on the Evan, you'd be chayav according to Rav Nosson. Okay, we're going to stop here.
Shkoyach, Ernie.
Sure.
Thank you.
about tomorrow?
Okay, tomorrow I'd like to learn at 2:00.
Well, we have to go to Mincha too early,
What time is that?
2 o'clock.
Okay, let's do it at 2:30. Okay? Mincha 2:00 and Daf Yomi at 2:30.